Already it was twilight down in the Laredito. Bats fly forth from their roostings in courthouse and tower and circle the quarter. The air is full of the smell of burning charcoal. Children and dogs squat by the mud stoops, and gamecocks flap and settle in the branches of the fruit trees. They go afoot, these comrades, down along a bare adobe wall. Band music carries dimly from the square. They pass a water cart in the street, and they pass a hole in the wall where, by the light of a small forge fire, an old man beats out shapes of metal. They pass in a doorway a young girl whose beauty becomes the flowers about. They arrive at last before a wooden door. It is hinged into a larger door, or gate, and all must step over the foot-high sill where 1,000 boots have scuffed away the wood, where fools in their hundreds have tripped or fallen or tottered drunkenly into the street. They pass along a ramada in a courtyard by an old grape arbor, where small fowl nod in the dusk among the gnarled and barren vines, and they enter a cantina where the lamps are lit, and they cross, stooping under a low beam, to a bar, and belly up 1, 2, 3. There is an old disordered Mennonite in this place, and he turns to study them, a thin man in a leather waistcoat, a black and straight-brim hat set square on his head, a thin rim of whiskers. The recruits order glasses of whiskey and drink them down and order more. There are monte games at tables by the wall, and there are whores at another table who look the recruits over. The recruits stand sideways along the bar with their thumbs in their belts and watch the room. They talk amongst themselves of the expedition in loud voices, and the old Mennonite shakes a rueful head and sips his drink and mutters. "They'll stop you at the river," he says. The second corporal looks past his comrades. "Are you talking to me?" "At the river, be told. They'll jail you to a man." "Who will?" "The United States Army. General Worth." "The hell they will. Pray that they will." He looks at his comrades, and he leans toward the Mennonite. "What does that mean, old man?" "Do ye cross that river with yon filibuster armed, ye'll not cross it back." "Don't aim to cross it back. We're going to Sonora. What's it to you, old man?" The Mennonite watches the enshadowed dark before them as it is reflected to him in the mirror over the bar. He turns to them. His eyes are wet, and he speaks slowly. "The wrath of God lies sleeping. It was hid 1,000,000 years before men were, and only men have the power to wake it. Hell ain't half full. Hear me. Ye carry war of a madman's making unto a foreign land. Ye awake more than the dogs." But they berated the old man and swore at him until he moved off down the bar muttering. And how else could it be? How these things end, in confusion and curses and blood. They drank on, and the wind blew in the streets, and the stars that had been overhead lay low in the west. And these young men fell afoul of others, and words were said that could not be put right again. And in the dawn the kid and the second corporal knelt over the boy from Missouri, who had been named Earl, and they spoke his name, but he never spoke back. He lay on his side in the dust of the courtyard. The men were gone. The whores were gone. An old man swept the clay floor within the cantina. The boy lay with his skull broken in a pool of blood, none knew by whom. A third one came to be with them in the courtyard. It was the Mennonite. A warm wind was blowing, and the east held a gray light. The fowls roosting among the grapevines had begun to stir and call. There is no such joy in the tavern as upon the road thereto, said the Mennonite. He had been holding his hat in his hands, and now he set it upon his head again, and turned, and went out the gate.